Hey, patrons, it's me, Mother Horror, and I'm here today with a special guest, Red Lagoe. Now, you do say your last name Lagoe, correct?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. You never know. It's one of those things where, like, I feel like I'm saying it accurately on, like, TikTok or going through, like, some video, and all of a sudden, like, as I'm speaking, I'll be like, I don't even know if that's right. Like,
Uh-huh.
this is the way I'm saying it.
I've gotten Lago,
Yeah,
Lego,
yeah.
Lagoe.
Yeah, it's like Starbucks, they're just
Yeah.
like, "Oh, what's your name? Oh, how do you spell it?" And then somebody's like, "Oh, order for Sadie."
Sadie. That is sad.
Very sad. I would never want my name to be Sadie. Yes, Red Lagoe, independent author of short story collections so far.
hmm
And are you working on a novel or?
I am working on a novel.
Oh, do we get to?
I'm right in the middle of it. So I'm probably about a quarter, not even a quarter of the way through. So I've got a ways to go.
Yeah. Is there any like little detail we can have? Like a
Yes. There's going to be vampires. Which I know it's like I'm like nobody's done vampire books in a while, and then I started writing it a while ago, and now everybody's putting out vampire books. I'm like, darn it!
I know. I just saw Stephen King tweet a couple days ago that book, what Revolver? Is that, I want to say.
Oh, I didn't hear about
Revolver?
that one yet.
Yeah, he literally just tweeted it the other day, and I added it to my Goodreads. But it sounds like Lost Boys. It's like vampires on motorcycles.
Yeah,
So
I'm a little late to the party. Mine's a little low key. It's a little more small and personal. It's not like Vampire Society stuff.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. I mean, I'll show up for anything vampires for sure. Red is the author of this book, Lucid Screams, a collection of short stories. And she did a magnet in our Nightworms package for this book. And Red was telling me off camera, what did you say about like how did that work out for you?
Yeah, so just the magnet in that package made a huge difference because nobody knew me. What was that, like a year ago? It was a little over a year ago that we put it in the Nightworms package. But the magnet was in there. People saw it. They tagged me in their Instagram photos and their Twitter and whatnot, and I gained some followers, and some people bought the book. So it was a big help.
Yeah, so she also did another one in this really recent. This was in the one with was this in the Ronald Malfi and Chismar
Richard
one?
Chismar, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that people put these on their book carts and stuff too, which is really cool. Our Nightworms customers really enjoy magnets and stickers for their book carts. So good. I'm glad that like helps spread the word.
Yeah, I'm glad you have them in your Nightworms package. It's so exciting.
Yeah, no, I mean, every time Ashley and I do a package, we get so excited. Like we just want to see people as they open them up and make their little layouts and talk about how excited they are for the books and stuff. That makes us happy.
Oh God, I love those packages. I'm not a subscriber, but I get them every once in a while, and they're so good. They're like little prizes inside. It's like opening the cereal box. You get these little fun things, magnets or stickers, or sometimes it's like hot cocoa and lots of cool stuff.
That was like our original idea for the goodie bags was that it would all be like one-time use stuff. Like that's still like our motto is like, let's just have this be like a one-time use, like a drink or like a bookmark or a sticker or something that like isn't going to take up retail space in your house.
Yeah.
I mean, we repped for a company before that would send you like ugly t-shirts and plastic compasses and water bottles and coffee mugs. And it's just like, after a while, you're just like, I have no more room for this shit.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about that. I mean, it's stuff I usually get rid of is all that stuff. But yeah, that was good thinking, doing like stickers and magnets and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, plus like the coffee mugs generally were like, kind of riffing off of somebody else's work. So it would be like a Stephen King reference or, something from a Brian Keene novel. And it's just like, I don't really think you could do that without licensing it,
Yeah. There's probably some lines being crossed.
For sure. I mean, Brian Keene definitely had an issue with like a enamel pin that they did from one of his books. So
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, you
But
gotta pay for the licensing.
oh yeah, that's part of being an author and getting
Mhm.
some extra money.
Yeah, we don't get enough.
No,
That's for
absolutely
sure.
not. No, absolutely not. So, and every little bit helps.
Hmm.
So today it's funny, I actually asked Red, I've seen her do some like kickboxing videos on Twitter, and I was like, oh man, I'm going to ask her about kickboxing. But then she said that she is more of an expert on astrology, and astrology is a very cool thing that I like to talk about. So I'm excited to talk about astrology with you.
All right. It's actually astronomy.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're not the. Oh, so many people say it. It's just like
I
because
totally
it's so
confused
common.
the two.
I know. Well, astrology. So the word astrology actually means the study of, space.
Yeah,
So it should be astrology, but because astrology was used first for the more I don't know. I don't want to put down astrology. I'm not against astrology, but for the, how the stars intervene with our lives and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
planets.
That was used long before astronomy came along, long before
Oh,
it was explored as like a science. And so they got the word first. So,
okay. Okay.
but yeah, so astronomy is just like the scientific explanations of space.
And how did you get started in being passionate about that?
I don't know. I've always been passionate about it. I think it's just one of those things you just know when you're a kid, when you're into something.
Yep.
It's like art or sports or, you're really good at math or you love history. I just always loved space. Always loved it. I had this little tiny red telescope. It was like this big around, like when you just held it like this.
Yeah.
And when I was a little kid, and I used to, spy at houses across. I was creepy. I used to like look at people's windows, like way across the way, and then one night I was looking up at the stars with it for once, and I saw these three bright objects, and one was kind of reddish. And so I told my mom, "Oh, I bet that's Mars because Mars is red." I think I was
Yeah.
10-ish. And then I saw another really bright one. It was really bright. I said, that's got to be Venus. And then the other bright one, for some reason, I thought it was Jupiter. I don't know why I thought it was Jupiter. I think I could have sworn I saw like one of the cloud bands, but with the little telescope I had, it's probably not the case.
Probably unlikely.
She said, no, they're not that close together because they were like right next to each other.
Right.
And then the next day, she was like, oh my God, it was in the paper that there was a conjunction. And I had my three stars right. I'm like, yeah, I'm a genius, Mom.
Whoa. And right when
Yeah.
you said that about like a conjunction, like that reminds me of the Dark Crystal. Did you ever see that?
Yes.
And that was all about that alignment and like something profound was going to happen when.
Yeah, which is where you get into astrology sometimes, the alignment of the planets and the stars and how it affects our lives. Yeah, so it's always fun too.
Yeah, that's really cool. So did you ever upgrade your telescope or?
I did. Fortunately. Yes, this is my telescope now.
Oh my God. Now when you saw, okay, so like when we were talking off camera and you pulled your magnet off of it, I had no idea what that was.
Yeah, this is it. This is my telescope. This is my little one.
What?
I've got a bigger one. It wouldn't fit in this space, so I just dragged this one in here.
Yeah, that's so cool. Where do you put that?
Right next to the dining room table.
Yeah.
We have a very tiny house.
Yeah. And then you just like, is there special times that you use it then? You like walk?
Yeah. I am part of a local astronomy club. And it's a 501c3 nonprofit. We do astronomy outreach for the public. And so anytime we have an event, and I haven't been going to them lately in the last year or so because of COVID.
Right.
But every once in a while, we get to go do events. And I just bring one of these out. And what we do is we set up our telescopes and we just let people look and let them. A lot of times we get people that have never, ever looked through a telescope before. People have never seen the moon.
I have never looked through a telescope that big, to be honest. I mean, so showing up to an event like that and actually having access to something like that would be really cool. Like I stayed in an Airbnb once that had like a pretty nice one so that you could look out onto the ocean and see like things out in the ocean and look for whales and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never used something like high powered and looked at the sky before.
Oh, it's a must do. So if you've never looked through a telescope before, I recommend going to finding your local astronomy club. So I don't know where you're Oregon,
I'm in
right?
Tacoma, Washington.
Washington. I don't know. Okay. So there's got to be astronomy clubs
Yeah,
in
I've
your
never
area.
even thought
Just
about looking.
Google it. Yeah, Google your local astronomy club for whatever your major city is, probably Tacoma.
Yeah.
And if not, then the next closest city, and see what comes up, because there are astronomy clubs all over the country that do free public outreach.
That is so cool. Like so for me personally, what I'll do is when I go back to edit this show and like, get it uploaded to YouTube, in the story notes, I'll put what I find in my area.
Cool.
I'll put links to those down there and just encourage like my patrons to go do that for themselves.
Yes, definitely do it. So I'm in Virginia Beach. Mine is the Back Bay Amateur Astronomers. That's my club.
You'll have to send me a link on Twitter and I'll link that up too.
Yeah, so most astronomy clubs that I know of are part of what's called the NASA Night Sky Network. And like NASA Night Sky Network partners with the Astronomical Society of the Pacific, and they have a website. I'm going to botch it. I think it's like jpl.nightsky.network. Anyway, you do nightsky.network.com, you'll find it. And you can search for local.
Down.
Yeah, nightskynetwork.com, I think. And you can look for, I'll find the link later and share it. Okay. You can find local astronomy clubs that do free outreach.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you said, with COVID, it probably was like very limited in like what capacity people could meet.
It was. So we did a really cool one where we're in Virginia Beach, so we go to the Virginia Beach Boardwalk, where there are just hundreds of people all summer long. And once a month, we set up our telescopes, and just whoever's walking by, we let them look. And last year was just canceled completely. Couldn't do it at all. Yeah. And we had one event this year. We try to keep distancing, try to keep the telescopes clean. It's kind of tough, but we do our best.
Yeah. So, like, what's the coolest thing you've ever seen?
I'm like cataloging, like everything's going through my head. I saw a supernova. That was really cool. Yeah.
That is so cool. What does that look like?
It looks like a bright spot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was in another galaxy. It was the M80. Oh, I'm going to botch it. I think it was M81. My memory's not too great. It was 2014, I think. And someone had discovered it. So normally the galaxy looks like this oval, fuzzy gray spot.
Right.
A little fuzzy blob in the telescope. But there's a really bright spot inside of that fuzzy blob now. And so somebody was like, oh, shoot, supernova. So some star in this galaxy far away blew up, and it created this huge bright spot like that you could see from 11 million light years away.
Yeah, so that supernova actually happened a long time ago.
Yeah, millions of years ago.
And you just saw it.
Yep.
That's so cool.
I know.
It kind of awesome. Like blows your brain. So you're like, huh?
Yeah. There's, you've heard of Betelgeuse, the star Betelgeuse?
Yeah.
So that is like a supernova that could blow at any time. And by any time, meaning like maybe within the next, I don't know, so many thousand years. And so recently, like within the last year or so, it started like changing, like it started getting really dim, and it got dimmer and dimmer. And so astronomers everywhere were like, oh boy, it's going to happen. So we're all hoping it was going to blow up. But, the really smart astronomers were like, it's not going to blow up.
Yeah.
It's just some other thing.
Yeah.
But I was hoping anyway. I was like, I don't care what you say. I'm going to be standing outside waiting for this thing to blow.
Well, yeah, because sometimes like that's the thing is there's certain things that you can count on. Like we know when certain comets like Halley's comet's gonna come or whatever. And you can count on those things. We know when there's certain moons, we know when there's gonna be like a meteor shower. But like how do you find that stuff out? Like where do you get that information? Is that at that Night Sky network?
So no, for that information, I get it from a variety of sources. So I follow different social media accounts. Like I follow NASA, and I follow Sky and Telescope magazine and astronomy.com.
Okay.
Pretty much those guys. Space.com does some good articles from time to time. And what's another? Earthsky.org is pretty good. So I just kind of,
I think I always find out about like a meteor shower or something, or I always find out like at the last minute. Everyone's like, oh, did you guys see it last night? And I'm like, oh, I would have gone outside if I knew it was happening.
Yeah, I recommend, so if you want to know what's happening ahead of time, I recommend Sky and Telescope. They usually do like a weekly, what's happening in the sky this week. And you can look ahead and I'll tell you what's going to happen each day.
Okay.
That's pretty helpful.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you use your passion for this like in your stories? Have you been inspired to write about it?
Yeah, it usually just kind of seeps in there sometimes. I don't even realize it's happening. I think because I'm so drawn to the sky. Like I go outside at night and the first thing that happens, my head goes up immediately. Like what's going on up there? Like I'm the one, I was the one in college doing it too. Like leaving a party, everybody's trashed, I'm trashed, we're outside and I'm like carrying my drink, looking up at the sky. That's awesome. Like it's just always been that way. And so it just kind of makes it in my writing. Like that's where my brain goes first. It's like, oh, what's happening up there? So a lot of the sky does make it in. And then sometimes I do a lot of astronomy stuff too. I have a couple astronomy stories.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense when people say like write what you know or write what you love or whatever, because you're going to spend so much time in those stories that, you know, if you have to research something or think about something a lot, it would probably be beneficial if it was something that you also are like really interested in.
Yeah, I think so. Because every time I try to write, because you can't always write what you know, or you're going to be writing the same damn thing over and over again. But like sometimes when I'm trying to learn something new to write about, I don't know what I'm doing. I can research all I want, but I'm going to have jargon in there that is not what those experts use.
Yes.
Like I wrote stuff about a Navy SEAL one time. And actually talked to people who work with Navy SEALs, and he's like, "No, they wouldn't. That's not no." Like, okay,
yeah, that's what
this is why I have a beta reader.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is it's like, well, like I love ocean stuff. You know, like I'm kind of that way about like bodies of water. Like I go on this walk every day that's on the Puget Sound, and I just notice like the tides. I notice what, you know, is happening around the beach, around the tides. Like my eye is trained to just look out in the ocean and I'll see seals and I'll see things and stuff that probably people are like, oh, it's really beautiful, but they're like, you know, talking to their friend or whatever. But I'm completely distracted by what's going on in the ocean.
Yeah, everybody else misses it. Yeah, they miss all the good stuff.
Because I'm afraid of it. You know, are you afraid of anything to do with space? Like it seems really scary to me.
I know. I'm not though. I'm not afraid of space. I'm not afraid of it. I mean, I'd be afraid to go there because it's pretty chaotic and deadly.
And vast. It's so vast, like the size.
Yeah. So the vastness and stuff doesn't scare me. What's out? I don't know. I think it's because there's just so many insanely outrageous possibilities of things that could go wrong. And we're so infinitesimally small in the grand scheme of things. I think just there's no control we can have over it whatsoever. And so I think I've just decided to just let it be. So I don't know. I'm not scared of it. which is
Yeah, I
maybe,
saw
I
this.
don't know why I'm not scared of it, but I'm not.
Well, did you see that one movie with, I think it was Sandra Bullock, and she's like out in space, and then she literally like comes apart from the spaceship, and she's just,
Yeah, gravity. Yeah, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that I'd be afraid of. Like, I'm not saying I don't think space can't kill me. Yeah, it could. I'd be terrified if I was out there all alone and
yeah,
about to die.
yeah.
Yeah, any asteroid could at any time blast into Earth and we're all gone. I guess that's kind of scary, but I try not to
But I
think
mean,
about it.
you mean that like having your feet planted here on the ground and looking up at the sky is not scary to you at all?
Oh well, no, that too. I don't know. I guess I don't let the scary stuff bother me. I guess I'll say
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's terrifying that we could die at any second because we're so small. But it doesn't. I don't lose sleep over it.
yeah.
It doesn't bother me that much.
Yeah, that's how I am about the ocean too, because I don't really have to be in it. It's like I'm never forced to like get in a boat or swim or, venture out into it. So I enjoy looking at it and it's very beautiful and I'm fascinated by everything that lives in it, but I don't have to be in it. So it doesn't scare me. It's like not a threat to me.
And that's an entire vastness too, just the ocean, and
Yeah.
there's so much of it that's not even explored yet.
Yeah.
There's
They
there's
remind me of
there's
each other.
life down there that we've never
Yeah.
seen. I always think of the movie The Abyss.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah, me too. All those bioluminescent aliens down there. That
Yeah.
was
I totally
great.
love that movie. Anything that has to do with being at the bottom of the ocean is like a really like, or like a book or something like um Nick Cutter's The Deep.
Oh, I didn't read that
Did you
one.
read?
I didn't read
Oh,
it.
so it's very claustrophobic and very like there's all this pressure from the water like on this little tiny place where they're doing research. And
Hmm.
so, just stories like that where you're in an unknown environment. I guess that's kind of like the same as space, it's an unknown environment.
Yeah. Hmm.
And very few people go there, which is the other
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Those are really scary stories, like like cave exploration stories too,
Yeah.
because you're deep, you're where nobody's ever gone before. Yeah, it's kind of creepy. So you don't know what you're gonna
Yeah.
find.
Exactly. Or what lives there and is better suited for that environment than you are.
Hmm. Yeah.
Cool. So what else like about astronomy? Like did you take college classes or is it just a hobby? Are you
It's a
like into
hobby.
it? Yeah.
Yep, totally a hobby. I went to school for a couple different. I was one of those kids that kept switching their majors. um,
Yeah.
but I ended up being a veterinary assistant and then a technician for a little while. So I was working in the vet field for years, and before I bought my first telescope, I turned 30 something, and I was like, "This is what I want for my birthday. I want a telescope. I want a real telescope." Because
Yeah.
I had like a Tasco. It was one I got when I was a teenager. It was a little bigger. It had a nice little mount, but I couldn't do much with it. And so I started researching telescopes, and I got this one for my birthday. And yeah, and it's been by my side ever since. I just take it out for everything because I can see the cloud bands on Jupiter with this. I
What?
can see the rings on Saturn. I can see nebulas and galaxies and all sorts of cool
I
stuff.
would not even know how to like does it come with instructions and tells you like how to find something or like how to dial it in to like focus on something? Like I wouldn't even know how to use it.
Yeah, it teaches you how to focus. It's super easy. So this one isn't even like there's no bells and whistles, there's no electronics. It's just you push it back and forth,
Yeah.
up and down. And like it focuses like a microscope, you just
Oh,
twist the
just
little
like
thing.
binoculars.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you just
uh-huh.
aim and it's got like a finder scope, like for like a little gun, like a little red dot finder on it. You just look through, you point it at whatever you want to look at, and then
Yeah.
you zero in on it. But yeah, it has instructions on how to like calibrate it and collimate the scope, and it's pretty basic. Every once in a while I screw it up and I have to use YouTube to fix it.
Yeah, YouTube for everything.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be such a stupid question, I'm sure, but like, do they come with like, do you get like a map of the sky and just kind of like can go look for things, or?
Some telescopes do. A lot of like the store-bought telescopes do. Or sometimes they come as kits and you get the map. Mine didn't come with a map. I have my own map. Like I have a whole book of, this is my favorite book. It's called Night Watch. So like if you're ever interested in getting into it, I love this. I love this thing. It's got like how to pick what telescope you want and like everything from picking a telescope to what to look for. And there's like all these maps in here too somewhere.
Yeah, see, that's what's really interesting is because, like, if you want to look at something specific, like Jupiter, for instance, you're like, oh, I want to see what Saturn looks like or whatever. Saturn was my favorite planet when I was a kid because I just liked the rings. But it's like, where do you point the thing to find it?
So with the stars and stuff, you can use star maps like this. With planets move more than the stars do. So and they move throughout the Earth moves throughout the seasons and the other planets move too, but like the further away planets like Jupiter and Saturn, they don't quite move as much. Yeah. So I just go online. I use apps. Like you can, the little apps, the little sky apps on your phone.
Yeah.
I use those. I have one. So I'm like, oh, what's up tonight? So like this time of year, right now, Jupiter and Saturn are up at night in the eastern sky. East, southeast, Jupiter and Saturn up. And Jupiter is almost at opposition or is just at opposition. And so it's really, really bright. It's one of the brightest things up there. So you look east after sunset right now, you're going to see Jupiter.
Wow. That's
pretty
so cool.
Amazing. It's like the brightest thing in the eastern sky. You look over there, it's going to be like, whoa, what is that? Is it a plane? No, it's Jupiter.
It's Jupiter. Yeah, that's really, like, I actually probably would get into it if I had, access to a telescope. I've never even thought about purchasing one, but now that I think about it and after you've been talking about it, I'm just like, you know how it's like you can't really think about what you want for Christmas or somebody asks you and it's like, people don't buy me books anymore. They're just like,
because you have all of them.
I whatever I want, I'm gonna buy. Like, so people don't do that. So it's like I have to get new hobbies and new interests and new things that I for gifts and stuff. So it's like, Mother Horror wants a telescope.
Do you have binoculars?
I don't even have binoculars.
Okay, a lot of people get started with binoculars.
Yeah,
and
I could do
with
that.
Binoculars, you can see. So you probably won't see Jupiter's cloud bands, but you'll be able to see the 4 Galilean moons that orbit Jupiter.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm actually going to write this down.
In Saturn, you might not be able to distinctly see the rings. Sometimes it just kind of looks like an oblong planet.
Yeah.
Like you kind of see that it's got like ears.
What?
Just kind of looks a little That's the rings, yeah. So depending on how it's oriented, sometimes it's like we see it straight on, and sometimes it's a little tilted. So sometimes we get to see like I have to draw it. I'm not good at explaining things, but sometimes you can.
No, I think I get it because there's something sticking out from the sides of it, so it's kind of like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's really cool.
Yeah. So, a lot of people get started with binoculars. I don't like using binoculars. I like having my telescope.
Well, and with the telescope, is it just one like lens that you're kind of looking through, or is it because the binoculars is for 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's always hard to like adjust.
Yeah. But I mean, the common recommendation is that if you're getting started out, you should start with binoculars. But when you tell people that, they lose interest. So, well, some people lose interest. They're like, I don't want binoculars. I want a telescope. So,
no, I think they would come in handy because you can't drag your telescope out to like on my walk. It's like a promenade that I always am taking. So there's lots of people on it. So I'm not going to go drag a telescope out and block people from there, but I could bring my binoculars and then, you know, look out on the ocean and then use it for nighttime too.
Yeah, that would work.
Cool. Well, we actually have hit our 30-minute point.
Okay.
I mean, that went by like really quickly for me. I was really interested in everything you had to say. So
thank you. I could talk for like 3 hours about this stuff.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, that's exactly what I tell people. I'm like, pick a passion that you could talk comfortably for 30 minutes about, you know, and it really shows that that's something that you're like super interested in. Yay. So I'm going to go ahead and link up a bunch of stuff. If you want to send me some of your favorite links, I'll put that in the story notes for everybody. And then if they have any questions, the video is unlisted and it's just private for the patrons. So you guys can go ahead and dialogue with Red and she can check back on the video. I'll send her a link to the thing. You were a patron there for a while if you aren't anymore.
I am again. Yeah, I went through this thing where I just started slashing away all these things I was paying for because I was trying to budget. Like I got rid of Shudder, and I got rid of Hulu, and I got rid of so many things. And then I had to be like, okay, some things I need.
Yeah, so that's really cool. So I don't have to send you an extra link. It'll just be
okay. Yeah, I'm a patron now.
Yeah, cool. So then we can have a discussion. We can all have a little discussion if you want to. So I'm inviting the patrons to ask questions if they want to, and it'll just be our little private show.
Yay!
Yay. So thanks so much for joining me today. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to hit end broadcast for everybody else. But bye, patrons.
All right, bye. Thank you.